and a visit to the seaside, and it would be longer still before he described a trip to Venice. What was in those 75 folios? What qualities did they possess that made him write them? What flaws did they display that made him abandon them, like a computer program that self-destructs soon after first being used? Was it the fragmentary form, too reminiscent of the pages of Pleasures and Days? Had the plot, which could only be the story of a vocation, not yet be found? What story should he tell, essentially? What memories should he share? Which characters should the book be about? About a brother who disappears? About family life in a country house, located not in Illiers, but in Auteuil? About the two ways of his mental territory? About provincial or Parisian nobles? About young girls at the seaside? Where is the love? Where are Sodom and Gomorrah? And above all, where is the notion of involuntary memory? These questions will be answered by Nathalie Mauriac Dyer in her commentary, because the novel will only truly exist when Proust makes involuntary memory not only a crucial psychological event, but the organizing principle of the whole story. In other words, the day when he imagined writing that all of Cambrai came from a cup of tea. Proust himself described those scenes when one abandons a view, a face, an impression that could and should have been given more time and thought. The steeples of Martinville, the three trees at Eudemenil, the milkmaid in Balbec. In his life he abandoned loved ones like texts. Reynald Dahan to start with, Henri Rochat at the end. The eternal sketches, eternal drafts of a man worthy of being loved and never met. To examine unpublished manuscripts is to examine the story of an abandonment, an abandoned novel, like Balzac's Deserted Woman, like Baudelaire's Passer-by. Proust's head and heart were surprisingly restless. He is the Cherubin or the Don Juan of the written page. He would become its Penelope. To examine unpublished manuscripts is also to examine the story of successive resurrections. Set aside, taken apart, and put back together, night and day these pages would return. This return was a resumption and a moving beyond in Erlebnis. It was what Proust had not done for Jean Santeuil, and what would require time and a great number of aborted attempts for Swann's Way. Moreover, these folios had no title. Some novelists begin with a title and then write their book. Balzac, for example, drew up lists of titles for novels not yet written. The title is an ideal, something that drives and unites, before being a reason for glory. No title, and the book does not really exist, is merely a shadow, a puppet with the strings cut. You would not recognize, wrote Horace, Orpheus's scattered limbs. Disjecti membra poeti. The sense of déjà lu is unfair. It is due to the fact that what was written first is being heard last. Herein lies the paradox of the lover of unpublished manuscripts. We seek out what the author himself rejected. We admire what was crossed out, removed, rewritten, because it's different. That difference makes it a new experience, a new Proust, despite its being older than the Proust we already know. We hope to find a secret there, the secret of the work itself, the figure in the carpet, the aspirin papers. The miracle of manuscripts is that they allow us this return to childhood, impossible in real life. It is only in works of art, particularly in movies, that a child can appear in flashback after the adult he has become. An inversion of the famous phrase by Bernard of Chartres that we are dwarfs perched on the shoulders of giants. In this case, the giant is perched on the dwarf's shoulders, and that dwarf was he himself. Here, the flood of childhood memories and grief is not yet under control. It flows endlessly, uninterruptedly. The reason for this is simple. The monologue we are examining is a form of confession, of autobiography, not a novel. This is what Proust began at the end of 1907. We know this because the author uses his family's real first names. The grandmother is called Adèle, Père Castelville. The mother, Jean, Weil Proust. The narrator, Marcel. Proust is always at his most moving when writing about his mother and his grandmother. The expression